Hello again, everyone. Hope you are well on a Monday. Folks, we need to keep stacking for sure. And it's going to take more than stacking. It's going to take other stuff. And I'm going to get more to that here in a few minutes. But please take this serious. I was reading over an article here a while ago sent to me by a subscriber and viewer and really brings it into focus here. And this has been mentioned before. Uh, it's been warned by several other voices out there, and we've talked about it some here too. But this article talks about how a farming insider warns that the coming food shortages are going to be a lot worse than what we're being told here. Now, this was written by a guy who has a farming insider that he has been talking with off and on for a while. And he says the information that I'm about to share with you is extremely alarming, but I want to bring the truth to readers. But right now there are shortages of certain items in grocery stores across the United States, and food supplies have gotten very tight all over the globe. Repeatedly warned that but this is just the beginning. I didn't realize how dire things have gotten until I received an email from this farming insider that I've been corresponding with for a while. So I asked him if I could publicly share what he shared with me, and the farmer said, yes, that's fine as long as you keep my name out of it. So he wrote a little bit about it here, but I believe that this is all planned. It's got to be deliberate. I believe it's all according to a big plan here, but goes on to say, he says, according to this farming insider, dramatically increased costs of fertilizer will make it impossible for many farmers to profitably plant this year. And this is a couple other things he said. He says things for 2022 are interesting right now and even scary. He said input costs for things like fertilizer, liquid nitrogen, and seeds are triple and quadruple the old prices. It will not be profitable for many to plant this year. My plan is to drop about 700 acres of corn off and convert to soybeans. They use less fertilizer. But guess what? There's already a shortage of soybean seeds. There will be a major grain shortage later this year, his estimation. Who's been storing grain for the last couple of years? A certain country? Anyway. There will be a major grain shortage later this year, especially with corn. I mean, we're small with that, but what about the people in the Midwest who have like 10,000 acres of corn? This will not be good. It says, as for farming, I see it getting bad. Things like fertilizer, liquid nitrogen, tripled, quadrupled. Commodity prices are up, but that certainly won't cover the new increase in input costs. So this particular guy's in North Carolina. So while certainly not like the Midwest, we still grow grain. The Midwest, of course, will have the same higher input costs as well. Now, corn, for example, typically takes about 600 pounds of fertilizer per acre, plus 50 gallons of nitrogen, liquid nitrogen. Times that by how many acres, and that's a lot of money. Soybeans take much less. So the plan for us and most others around here is to drastically cut corn acres and switch to soybeans. Problem is, apparently there's a soybean seed shortage because others have the same plan. We were lucky enough to pre-buy enough to do that. However, most people, especially younger farmers or farmers where that is all they do, probably don't have the ability to front money like that. So the way I see it, a corn shortage is coming. He goes on to say, I guess there are other alternatives, maybe milo, oats, or barley, but of course the corn market is much larger. It says, think animal feed and ethanol. I mean, for animals, soybeans are used to too, but it's a mix. So what happens when the animal producers who depend on reasonably priced corn? I just don't see how it can end well. I mean, even if we end up with plenty of soybeans, even a glut, then you have a busted market for that. I don't know. There just isn't much history to base anything of this on. I just see it hurting both grain farmers and animal farmers, and also translating to more shortages and price increases for consumers who buy the end products. That's us. Now, corn is one of the foundational pillars of our food supply. If you go to any grocery store and start reading through the ingredients of various products, you will quickly discover that corn is in just about everything in one form or another. So what is our country going to look like if a severe corn shortage actually does happen? It looks that way. I don't even want to think about that. Of course, fertilizer prices are not just going through the roof here in the United States. So it's going in, it's global. So it talks about South America. Will affect the coffee production. So coffee could get a little more scarce and a lot more expensive. Africa fertilizer prices could result in 30 million metric tons less food produced. Whew. Where in the world are we going to get enough food to replace the food needs of 100 million people? And so this is beyond serious. Many Americans had assumed that even if the rest of the world was suffering, that we would be immune to it. That has been the mindset. We're going to be okay. In Africa, they're going to have problems maybe, but not us. But yes, it can be us. Think again, Washington, D.C., you might have heard about this. This was, I think, last week or so. In Washington, D.C., residents were being instructed to just buy what you need and leave some for others. It says, if you're hitting the grocery store to prepare for winter weather, please just only buy what you need and leave some for others. You may have noticed empty shelves in some stores due to the national supply chain issues, but there is no need to buy more than you normally would. That was coming from city officials. What would have been unimaginable just a few years ago is now making headlines on a daily basis. I mean, think about just a couple of years ago. I mean, we were energy independent. Think about how much gas cost. Just the difference in that too. And your food. I mean, compare a receipt now from 4 months ago, 6 months ago. That's really scary. A year ago. I mean, this was interesting. He said, in modern times, as in ancient Rome, several nations have suffered a system collapse. This is what we're going to see, a system collapse. The term describes the sudden inability of once prosperous populations to continue with what had ensured the good life as they knew it. Abruptly, the population cannot buy or even find once plentiful necessities. They feel they're safe, their streets are unsafe, laws go unenforced or enforced inequitably. Everyday things just stop. So, could be looking at a system collapse, especially if all this continues, and heaven forbid war break out over there. My gosh, think about shortages. So, like I said, keep stacking. Mentioned this before, but if you can't grow, grow what you can, of course, but try to connect with local sources as well. Just keep preparing for that. Tell me your thoughts too. Share what you're thinking about this. What are you doing? Maybe to hedge all this, because prices will still keep rolling up as well. So try not to let this get you, too anxious as well. We just need to prepare, and that's what we do. I want to read from Isaiah. Isaiah has a lot of good stuff, but Isaiah chapter 42, verse 6 says, I am the Lord. I have called you for a righteous purpose, and I will hold you by your hand. I have called you for a righteous purpose, and I will hold you by your hand. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 6. And amen, he does. And we just need to keep that in mind. We do have a purpose here. We could be facing tough times right here. For a long time, most of us have had it pretty easy, pretty good, but that may that may be coming to an abrupt end too, and it may be surprisingly quick, folks, okay? So I don't have a great feeling at times about 2022. Sometimes I do, and I try to be optimistic. I'm typically a very optimistic person. But whatever it brings, as they say in Isaiah, whatever it brings, the Lord will still hold you, have you by the hand, pray, and keep praying. Keep stacking them. Keep stacking Jesus too. All right. Again, share your thoughts. God bless you. I'll see you soon.